Welcome to an episode of r/slash pettyrevenge, where we share stories of small victories over those who've wronged you. Kick back and enjoy these several stories we are about to share with you, and at the end, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, on to the stories. And this story is posted by u/Sir Bobson. Don't park on the street? Okay. I have a very large work truck that I park at home. I just barely have a spot for it in the backyard parking pad next to the garage off the back alley. My first day bringing the truck home, I wasn't confident enough to park it next to the garage, so I parked it on the street in front of my house. I didn't realize that commercial trucks weren't allowed to park there, but one of my neighbors kindly reminded me by immediately calling by law. I woke up to a warning on my windshield. The next day, I still did not have the confidence to park on the pad, so I parked in the alley right up against my garage. An hour later, as I was working on the truck, by law rolled up on me and kindly asked me to park elsewhere. He was sympathetic to my situation and understood how petty the whole thing was, but the law was the law and he was just doing his job. As nice as he was, he would not tell me which of my neighbors was calling me in. I assume it was the one that had karaoke parties at his house 3 nights a week and whose friends park all over the neighborhood. I may not be allowed to park on the street, but I was allowed to park on my own property, however, and if that's what my neighbor wants, then that's exactly what they'll get. The clearance between the fence and the overhang of the garage is tight, within inches on either side. Because of that overhang and a utility box in the alley, I can only approach from one direction and I can only back in. There was no other way. Getting it in that spot without hitting the fence, the garage, or the utility box is extremely tricky. Doubly so if my neighbor across the alley also parks there, or if it's garbage day and all the bins are out. But my God, I will get it in that spot or die trying. For the next few days, I spent hours after work trying to figure out the best way to attack that angle. Back it up, stop, get out of the truck, check my clearances, get back in, readjust, and repeat. Over and over and over again until I get it just right. The petty revenge. I often work late hours and come home when it's dark, and my backup signal is loud, really loud. You don't want me to park on the street? Then you get to listen to that racket every single god darn night, and I will savor every minute of it. I am now a master at parking that truck. I know exactly where to place the truck, where to turn, and what to look out for. I don't even have to get out of the truck anymore. But every single night, I will still take my sweet time getting it just right. Often I would challenge myself to get it one shot without having to readjust the truck. Doing so means being very, very slow and methodical. But at least my truck is not an eyesore on the street anymore. Edit. I'm a self-employed contractor and this is my truck. If I had a better parking option, I'd obviously take it. Also, yes, you're right. My innocent neighbors don't deserve this. I'll ease off from the pettiness from now on. And this story is posted by u/absent the Ortwo. May paycheck is where? Let me start by saying this was long before cell phones became the regular. Think home phones and pay phones. My parents insisted I be a responsible teen, meaning I should pay my own car insurance and earn my spending cash. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Honestly, thanks. I learned a good deal about responsibility from this simple exercise. So I got a job flipping burgers for a regional chain. The work was hellish with dirty long hours. This was my senior year and I stuck with it as I moved into college. They even deemed me worthy of a shift manager title, but I vehemently refused to become salaried because I feared they worked me 60 hours a week. They called my house on days off asking me to come in. They called before I was scheduled to work asking me to come in early. I was already working almost 50 hours a week and my class attendance, homework, and social life were suffering. Think doing landscaping in 100+ temps all day. My parents issued an ultimatum and I cracked. I decided I'd join the military to escape. The people I worked with lobbied me not to do it. They told me the military was a brutal environment and it would crush my spirit. Like this place wasn't. I did the deal, signed the paperwork, and set a date to go off to basic training a few months down the road. The burger people are still calling me for extra and extended shifts, so I finally said, screw it, I've worked my last shift. The franchisee and district manager had a history of toying with people who quit. They played this shell game with their last check to send employees on a wild goose chase. The former employee would show up on payday to get their last check to be told it was at the franchisee's HQ. Then they say it was at their main restaurant closest to HQ. That restaurant would then say the check was sent there mistakenly and forwarded on to their original restaurant where they'd work. This sometimes went on for a couple days. I came to realize that their last check was sitting in the safe right where it was supposed to be all along. Friday afternoon comes and I drive over to get my last paycheck. Guess what the manager tells me? Yep, my check is not there. I need to go to the franchisee's corporate HQ. Anticipating their chicanery, I'd written the number to the state's labor board on a piece of paper and stuffed it in my pocket before heading to get my check. I pulled the piece of paper out, set it on the counter, explained what it is, and notify them that I'm stepping outside to call the labor board to request a complaint packet to be sent to my house, but I expect my check when I come back in. I step outside, call my dad, and laugh because these transparent clowns did exactly what they always do. I walk back to the counter and the general manager appears from around the corner holding my check. She slides the check across the counter while looking away like it was a dead lizard she'd been forced to handle. I tried to make eye contact while tamping down a grin. No dice. She won't look at me. Edit. The revenge came when I could see her dying inside while she was forced to hand over my paycheck to avoid a real labor board complaint. And this story is posted by u/Kiabasahu. Disgruntled Walmart lady doesn't like that she can't park in reserved parking. I work at a Walmart, specifically the online grocery pickup, OGP section. For anyone that doesn't get the basics of it, basically you place a prepaid order online, we shop it for you, and then bring it out and load it into your car. Pretty simple. We're decently busy pretty much all day, and as expected, we have reserved parking spots, specifically 12, for the customers to come pull in so we can easily load their groceries. On one fateful day, we were rather busy and the weather was quite spit, raining. This random lady pulls into spot number 12, so naturally I go outside to talk to her to get her name and order number and whatnot. Hi, how are you doing today? Good. Do you have an online order for pickup? No. She steps out of her car and begins to walk inside. Well, if you don't have an online order, you can't park here. This is reserved parking for our customers. Okay. And she casually ignores me and proceeds inside. Our manager printed notice papers to put on windshields for butt hats like her. They're nothing special, just made of paper. I took around 12 and lined her entire windshield with them. You could not see a speck of glass under the paper. Now, since it was raining, the papers almost instantly stuck to her windshield like glue and completely soaked on, to the point where wind wasn't blowing them off. I never caught her reaction or heard if she complained, but watching her scrape wet paper off her windshield in the pouring rain through our dispensary door was the most satisfying thing I've ever done during my time there. And this story is posted by u/VegasGuy1223. That's what you get for making a mockery of me. I worked at a local grocery store and had a coworker who for years made a mockery of me in front of coworkers and customers alike. We'll call him Lee. He dated a girl who worked in our store, and he was notoriously unfaithful, who we'll call Joanna. I was casually dating a female customer who shopped at our store, who we'll call Madison. Well, one day, Madison told me Lee attempted to hit on her while she was shopping. She had said he asked for her number, which she claimed she gave him, and that by ignoring his texts, he'd get the point. I asked for screenshots of the texts he sent her so I could show them to Joanna, explaining to Madison Lee's unfaithfulness and my chance to out him for the dirtbag he is and finally have revenge for all the times he emasculated me and made a mockery of me in front of everyone. Madison obliged and sent them to me. I went on my lunch break and saw Joanna working in the Starbucks at our store. She knew I was dating Madison. I explained to her what Lee did and then showed her the screenshots. She recognized Lee's number and then asked me to text them to her, which I did. She said was going to break up with him later that night. 10 p.m., closing time for the store and showtime for the drama. I hid by an end cap out of his sight and watched them begin to argue and yell at each other. She announced in front of the entire closing staff that it was over. In a fit of rage, Lee kicked the wine display, knocking it over and making a huge mess. He was immediately fired the following day, and I felt vindicated. After years of him making jokes about how nobody liked me, endless pranks, vandalizing my car, undermining my job performance to management, I finally got mine. and everyone knew it was me after Joanna thanked me. The response of my coworkers was, "Wow, I guess we shouldn't piss Jason off." Jason is my name for the story. I hear through the grapevine after he was fired that his car was repoed. A few weeks later, I see him sitting at a bus stop. I roll down my window and shout, "Who's the loser nobody likes now, a-hole?" and sped off laughing. One of the best nights of my life. Oh man, those were 4 great stories. To hear the best stories of the week, click on the video in the top left-hand corner. To hear more Reddit stories all related to what you just heard, click on the video in the top right-hand corner. And if you have not already done so, click on the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. Once again, this is TNA, Top Notch Audio. Thank you for listening and have yourself a great day.